Eric Mason stood at the large window of the observation deck, his eyes fixed on Earth's shattered moon. Where once it had been whole and bright, now it was a broken crescent, its fragments forming a ring of debris that would circle the planet for thousands of years, a permanent reminder of humanity's closest brush with extinction. Captain Mason, a voice said from behind him. Admiral Powell is waiting on the secure channel. Eric turned away from the view. Thank you, Ben, I'll take it in my quarters. 3 months had passed since the final battle. 3 months since humanity had somehow managed to push back the Salaran fleet and force a retreat. The celebrations on Earth continued, but Eric knew better. Victory wasn't the same as peace, and revenge wasn't the same as justice. In his sparse quarters aboard the newly commissioned Hunter ship Vengeance, Eric activated the secure channel. Admiral Catherine Powell's face appeared on the screen, her expression grim beneath her silver hair. Captain Mason, we've detected a Siluran diplomatic vessel leaving their territory, she said without greeting. Long-range scans suggest it's heading toward the unexplored Cygni's arm. Eric's jaw tightened. Diplats, you mean the ones who spent years among us before the attack? The very same. Intelligence believes high-ranking officials are aboard, the architects of the betrayal. The memory of that day 7 years ago still burned in Eric's mind. The Salarans had come to Earth claiming friendship, offering technology and knowledge. For 3 years they had lived among humans, learning Earth's defenses, studying human weaknesses. Then came the attack that no one saw coming. No one except Olivia Dawson. Is Officer Dawson's team aware? Eric asked. She's the one who tracked their escape route, Powell replied. She's waiting to brief you. Your orders, Captain Mason, are simple: hunt them down. The Vengeance leads the Retribution fleet. You leave orbit in 6 hours. When the screen went dark, Eric sat motionless. 7 brutal years of war had transformed humanity. What had begun with the Salarans' overwhelming technological advantage had ended with a desperate human victory, not because humans had become stronger, but because they had become smarter, harder, and willing to sacrifice everything. Eric made his way to the ship's intelligence center. The doors slid open to reveal a busy room filled with screens and holographic displays. At the center stood Olivia Dawson, her attention focused on a 3-dimensional star map. Officer Dawson, Eric said. Olivia looked up, dark circles shadowed her eyes, eyes that had seen the betrayal coming too late. As Earth's leading xenolinguist, she had worked closely with the Salaran ambassadors before the war. She had been the first to decode their true intentions hidden in their complex language patterns. Her warning had come just hours before the first attack, not enough time to prepare, but enough to ensure humanity wasn't completely defenseless. Captain, she acknowledged. I found their trails. Eric moved beside her, studying the map. How can you be sure? The Silurans leave behind quantum disturbances when they travel at light speed. It's faint, but Dr. Grant's new tracking system can detect it. Olivia pointed to a series of markers leading away from known space. They're following a specific pattern. I believe they're heading to a rally point here beyond the Perseus boundary, a hidden outpost most likely. And not just any outpost. Based on the energy signature of the ship and the high security protocols they're using in their transmissions, I believe the exemplars are aboard. Eric's blood ran cold. The exemplars, the highest caste of Siluran society, the masterminds who had planned the war from the beginning. You're certain? Olivia met his gaze. I lived among them for 3 years, Captain. I learned their language, their customs. I thought I knew them. Her voice hardened. I was wrong then, I won't be wrong again. A soft chime announced a new arrival. Dr. Lisa Grant entered, carrying a data pad. Her practical approach and brilliant mind had been crucial in advancing human technology during the war. Captain Mason, she said with a nod. I finished calibrating the quantum tracking system. We can follow their energy signature across vast distances now, even if they try to mask it. Will they know we're following? Lisa shook her head. That's the beauty of it. The system is passive, only reading the disturbances they naturally leave behind, like following footprints in snow. And the weapon systems? Eric asked. Ready? The adaptations we made based on captured Siluran technology have been integrated into all ships in the fleet. If when we find them, they won't expect us to have such capabilities. Eric nodded and turned to the large window at the far end of the room. Outside, he could see the other 5 ships of the Retribution fleet in formation around the Vengeance. Not a large force, but each vessel represented the best technology humanity could produce. How much time until the diplomatic vessel reaches the Cygni's arm? He asked. At their current speed, 2 weeks, Olivia replied. But we can catch them in 10 days if we push our engines to maximum. Then that's what we'll do, Eric turned back to the star map. What about Sam Turner? Is he on board yet? Arrived an hour ago, Lisa said. He's checking the fighter squadrons now. Sam Turner had been one of Earth's best pilots before the war. After losing his entire family in the attack on Chicago, he had become something else entirely, a warrior with a single purpose. His skill and daring had turned the tide in many battles. Good, we'll need him. Eric studied the projected course one more time. Officer Dawson, prepare a complete briefing for the crew. Dr. Grant, I want continuous monitoring of that ship's path. If they change course, I want to know immediately. As they left to carry out his orders, Eric remained staring at the map. 7 years ago, humanity had been unprepared, outmatched. The Salarians had expected a quick victory, not understanding the human capacity to adapt, to fight back even when all seemed lost. An hour later, Eric stood before the assembled crew in the ship's main hall. 400 faces looked back at him, men and women who had all lost something in the war. Many of you fought in the final battle, he began. You've seen the celebrations back on Earth. You've heard people say we won. He paused, his gaze sweeping across the room. But victory isn't that simple. The Salarians attacked us after years of false friendship. They studied us, learned our weaknesses, then struck without warning or mercy. Now their leaders, the ones who planned it all, are running. Eric's voice grew stronger. Earth calls this the Retribution Fleet. That's fitting. But this isn't just about revenge. It's about justice. It's about showing every species in this galaxy that betraying humanity comes with a cost. He looked at their faces, determined, hardened by war, driven by purpose. The war was just a battle, he said finally. Now begins the hunt. Around the room, heads nodded in silent agreement. The Vengeance would soon depart on humanity's first mission beyond their solar system since the war began, not as explorers this time, but as hunters. As the crew dispersed to their stations, Eric returned to the observation deck. Earth grew smaller behind them as the fleet moved toward the outer system checkpoint. Soon, they would activate the faster-than-light drive and begin the pursuit in earnest. The hunt for the betrayers had begun. 3 weeks into their journey, the Vengeance and its small fleet approached the edge of explored space. The ships moved in tight formation, sensors constantly scanning for any sign of Silurian activity. On the bridge, Eric Mason studied the latest reports, his face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the display. Captain called Ben Rogers from the communications station. The young specialist's eyes were fixed on his screen. I'm picking up fragmented transmissions. They're not using standard Silurian communication protocols. Eric moved to stand behind him. Can you clean up the signal? Ben's fingers moved quickly across the control panel. Working on it, sir. It's heavily encrypted, but there are patterns similar to what we've seen before. Olivia Dawson, who had been analyzing data at a nearby station, joined them. Let me hear it, she said. Ben nodded and adjusted the settings. A series of clicks and whistles filled the air, followed by what sounded like words chopped into meaningless fragments. Olivia closed her eyes, listening intently. After several minutes, she opened them again. They're communicating with something called the Exani. I've seen references to them in stolen intelligence files, but we've never made contact. Are they allies? Eric asked. More than allies, I think. The Salarians are seeking help, almost like they're reporting to superiors. Olivia frowned. This changes things. We might not just be dealing with fleeing Silurians. Commander Alex Hill, Eric's second in command, looked up from the tactical display. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting a small vessel at the edge of scanning range. It's damaged and drifting. Silurian, Eric asked. Signatures match their scout-class ships. No signs of active weapons or shields. Eric considered his options. A damaged Silurian vessel could provide valuable intelligence, but it could also be a trap. Bring us in slowly, full defensive screens. Alert security teams and prepare the boarding shuttles. Within an hour, the Vengeance had matched course with the drifting Silurian scout ship. Scans confirmed minimal life support and only 3 survivors aboard. In the shuttle bay, Jack Murphy, the ship's security chief, checked his team's weapons one last time. Remember, even injured Salarians are dangerous. Stun protocols only. We want them alive for questioning. The boarding team, led by Jack, crossed from the Vengeance to the Siluran vessel through an emergency docking procedure. They moved carefully through the damaged corridors, weapons ready. Life signs ahead, one of the team reported. 3 Silurans in what appears to be their medical bay. When they entered the chamber, they found 2 Siluran crew members unconscious on medical platforms. The third, a slender figure with the distinctive blue-gray skin of their species, stood when the humans entered. Unlike most Silurans they had encountered during the war, this one wore the elaborate markings of their diplomatic corps. "I am Sithara," the Siluran said in perfect English. "I surrender myself and my crew to your custody." Back aboard the Vengeance, Sithara was placed in a secure holding area. Olivia Dawson observed the alien through a one-way screen while Eric and Jack debated how to proceed. "I don't trust it," Jack said firmly. "Too convenient that we just happened to find a damaged ship with a high-ranking diplomat aboard." "I agree it's suspicious," Eric replied. "But we need information. Olivia is the best qualified to interview the prisoner." Jack frowned. "She worked with them before the war. How do we know she won't be manipulated?" "Because no one knows better than Olivia what they're capable of," Eric said with finality. "She blames herself for not seeing through their deception earlier. She won't make the same mistake twice." When Olivia entered the holding cell, Sithara was sitting perfectly still, large eyes studying her with unnerving intensity. "Specialist Dawson," the Siluran said, "your pronunciation of our language has improved since we last met." Olivia kept her face neutral, though she was surprised the alien remembered her. "You have information we need, Sithara. Cooperate and your treatment will be humane." "I will tell you what I know willingly," Sithara replied. "There are those among my kind who did not agree with the decision to attack Earth." "Yet you did nothing to stop it," Olivia said coldly. "Would you betray your entire species?" Sithara asked, "even for what you believed was right?" Olivia didn't answer. Instead, she began her questioning. Over the next several hours, Sithara revealed disturbing information about the Siluran leadership caste, the Exemplars, and their original plans for humanity. "The Alliance was never meant to last," Sithara explained. "Humans were to be studied, your technology and biological adaptability assessed. The Exemplars believed your species would be easily conquered once we understood your weaknesses." "They were wrong," Olivia said. "Yes, the Exemplars did not expect humanity's resistance. They did not understand that backing humans into a corner would transform them." Sithara's large eyes blinked slowly. "Your rapid technological evolution during the war surprised them, frightened them even." Meanwhile, in the science lab, Dr. Lisa Grant was growing increasingly frustrated. The quantum tracking system that had worked perfectly until now was showing inconsistent readings. "Something's interfering with our tracking capabilities," she told Eric when he came to check on her progress. "It's as if someone is deliberately masking the Siluran energy signatures." "Could the Silurans have developed countermeasures?" Eric asked. Lisa shook her head. "Not this quickly and not without knowing about our system. This is different technology altogether." She pulled up a complex diagram on her screen. "Based on these readings, I believe they're receiving help, advanced technological help from another species." Eric's face darkened, the Exani that Olivia mentioned. "Possibly, whoever they are, they have technology beyond even what the Silurans showed during the war." The fleet continued its journey, following the increasingly faint trail of the diplomatic vessel. As they approached the Cygni's boundary, they detected an abandoned human outpost, a research station that had gone silent 3 years before the war. Records show it was studying an ancient artifact of unknown origin, Commander Hill reported after accessing the station's database. All communications ceased suddenly, but there was no distress call. Eric led a team to investigate, including Commander Hill and Olivia. They found the station eerily intact, as if the staff had simply walked away in the middle of their work. In the main research lab, they discovered signs that Silurans had been there after the humans disappeared, tools bearing their distinctive design, data crystals of Siluran manufacture. "They were looking for something specific," Olivia said, examining the scattered research materials. "Something about the artifact the humans were studying." In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Zara Wright had been conducting her own research, examining tissue samples from the Siluran prisoners. She called Eric and Olivia to share her findings. "Their hierarchical society isn't just cultural, it's biological," she explained, showing them microscopic images of Siluran cellular structures. The lower castes are biochemically dependent on the presence of their exemplars. Without regular biochemical exposure, they experience cognitive decline. You're saying their leaders are literally necessary for their society to function? Eric asked. Exactly. If we could somehow separate the general Salaran population from their exemplars for an extended period, they might lose the will or the ability to continue fighting, Olivia finished. As the fleet prepared to cross into truly uncharted space, a faint signal reached them, an automated distress call using an old Earth encryption protocol. Eric recognized it immediately. That's from the horizon, he said, his face pale with shock, a Black Ops research vessel that disappeared 2 years before the war began. That's impossible, Commander Hill said. The horizon was officially listed as lost in a drive malfunction. The horizon never officially existed, Eric replied quietly, and now it's calling for help from somewhere beyond the Cygni's boundary. The distress call changed everything. What had begun as a mission of retribution was becoming something more complex. Somewhere ahead, beyond known space, lay answers to questions they hadn't even thought to ask. Eric ordered the fleet to prepare for the crossing into the unknown. The hunt continued, but now with a new purpose, to find not just the Siluran betrayers but the truth behind the war that had nearly destroyed humanity. The Vengeance emerged from light speed at the source of the distress signal. Before them stretched a vast debris field orbiting an uncharted planet. Twisted metal and shattered hull fragments drifted silently in space, all that remained of the horizon. Scan for life signs, Eric ordered, his voice tight. Lieutenant Kelly Ward, a sharp-eyed intelligence officer with short blonde hair, studied her console. Nothing on the main debris field, Captain, but I'm detecting a power signature on the planet's surface. It matches the energy pattern of a standard Earth escape pod. Eric turned to Commander Hill. Prepare a rescue team, we need to know what happened here. Within the hour, a shuttle carrying Commander Hill, Private Ryan Cole, and Lieutenant Kelly Ward descended through the planet's atmosphere. Ryan gripped his rifle nervously. At 22, he was the youngest Marine on the Vengeance, having joined the military in the final year of the war. Unlike most of the crew, he had never faced Salarans in direct combat. Stay sharp, Commander Hill said, nodding the young man's tension. We don't know what we're walking into. The shuttle landed near the source of the power signature. They found an escape pod half buried in sandy soil, its hatch open. Around it, someone had built a small shelter using parts from the pod and local materials. Inside the shelter, they discovered Gabriel Stewart, thin, bearded, and wild-eyed from years of isolation. He was surrounded by strange technology, some recognizably human, some clearly alien in design. Earth military? Gabriel asked hoarsely when they entered. Actual humans, or am I hallucinating again? We're real, Kelly assured him. We picked up your distress signal, you're from the horizon. Gabriel laughed, a harsh sound with little humor. What's left of it? Chief Science Officer Gabriel Stewart at your service. He gestured at the equipment around him. Been keeping busy while waiting for rescue, never really expected it to come. They brought Gabriel back to the Vengeance, where Dr. Zara Wright checked him for injuries and malnutrition. While recovering in the medical bay, he told Eric and Olivia what had happened to the horizon. We were sent to secretly study Siluran technology before first contact was officially established, Gabriel explained. Black Ops, no records, no official mission. We were supposed to assess their capabilities, determine if they were a threat. And were they? Eric asked. Gabriel's eyes darkened. Worse than anyone imagined. We found evidence of their previous alliances. At least 7 other species they had approached, befriended, studied, and then systematically destroyed. He pushed himself up on his elbows, but that wasn't the worst part. What do you mean? Olivia asked. Some people already knew. High-ranking officials on Earth had seen the pattern but proceeded with the alliance anyway. Gabriel's hands shook slightly. They thought we could steal enough technology before the inevitable conflict. They called themselves the facilitators. Human traitors, Eric said, his voice cold. They disappeared days before the Salaran attack, Gabriel continued. We tried to send warnings, but our communications were blocked. Then the Salarans found us. They destroyed the horizon and pursued us to the surface. I'm the only one who survived. In the intelligence center, Kelly Ward was analyzing data recovered from Gabriel's shelter. She called Eric with urgent news. Captain, I found encrypted communications, messages between human officials and the Salaran leadership. she reported. These facilitators didn't just disappear before the attack, they left with the Salarins. Eric's face hardened. They're helping the Salarins establish a new base somewhere ahead of us. Yes, sir, and based on these communications, they've been promised power in whatever comes after. Meanwhile, in the engineering bay, Maya Johnson was working with Dr. Grant to integrate captured Silaran technology. Maya, a brilliant engineer with a gift for adapting alien tech, had modified the Vengeance's sensors using principles she gleaned from studying Salaran devices. The modifications are complete, Maya told Eric when he came to check their progress. We should be able to detect any Salaran ship now, even if they're using cloaking technology. And what about this interference with our tracking system? Eric asked. Still present, but Maya's modifications allow us to work around it, Lisa replied. And we've detected something you need to see. She pulled up a holographic display showing an enormous energy reading deeper in the Cygni's arm. This is massive, Captain, some kind of construction project on a scale we've never seen before. In the holding area, Olivia continued her sessions with Sithara. The Salaran had become more forthcoming as time passed, either from genuine cooperation or some unknown strategy. The exemplars are merely servants themselves, Sithara revealed during one session. The entire war, everything was orchestrated by a species called the predecessors. Who are these predecessors? Olivia asked. An ancient race that uses conflict to identify and harvest promising species for their own purposes, Sithara explained. They approach a developing civilization, identify another that might threaten them, and then manipulate both into conflict. For what purposes? Some say to find worthy additions to their collective. Others believe they feed on the energy released during large-scale warfare. Sithara's large eyes blinked slowly. I do not know the truth. I know only that my people have served them for generations, identifying potential targets and forming false alliances. Olivia brought this disturbing information to Eric. If what Sithara says is true, the Salarins are just pawns in a larger game. Whether they're pawns or not, they still destroyed half our planet, Eric said grimly. But this suggests our real enemy might be someone else entirely. Private Ryan Cole was struggling with these revelations. During his guard shift outside Gabriel's quarters, he voiced his concerns to Kelly Ward when she came to interview the survivor again. I joined to fight the aliens who attacked us, Ryan said quietly. It seemed simple then. They were evil, we were good. Now there are human traitors and Silaran dissidents and some ancient puppet masters pulling everyone's strings. He shook his head. How do we know who the real enemy is anymore? Kelly placed a hand on his shoulder. The real enemy is anyone who would sacrifice innocent lives for power, human or alien. Remember that. As the fleet approached the massive energy signature, Eric called a meeting of his senior officers. We need to be prepared for anything, he told them. Based on what we've learned, we're not just facing Silaran forces, but potentially these predecessors and human traitors as well. Commander Hill studied the tactical display. The energy readings suggest a massive fleet or space station. We're outnumbered no matter what. Then we'll need to be smarter, Eric replied. Maya, how soon can your modified weapons be installed on all our ships? 12 hours, Captain, Maya answered. Do it in 10, we need every advantage we can get. As the engineering teams worked frantically to upgrade the fleet weapons, the Vengeance detected a disturbance ahead. Multiple ships were dropping out of light speed around them, vessels of unknown design, neither human nor Silaran. We're surrounded, Commander Hill reported, her voice tense but controlled. A transmission came through on all channels. The face that appeared on the screen was human, an older man with cold eyes and a satisfied smile. Captain Mason, the man said. This is Director Alan Nichols of Earth Special Intelligence Division, or former division, I should say. You're one of the facilitators, Eric said, recognizing the name from Gabriel's information. A crude term, but accurate enough, Nishal's replied. We facilitated humanity's next step in evolution. Those who survive what's coming will be incorporated into something greater than our species could ever achieve alone. You betrayed your own people, Eric said. I helped select the strongest among them, Nishal's corrected. The war was a test, one that humanity performed better in than expected. Now it's time for the next phase. The transmission ended abruptly. Around the Vengeance, the unknown ships moved into attack formation. Battle stations, Eric ordered. and send a message to the rest of our fleet. Whatever happens next, we show these traitors and their alien masters what humanity is truly capable of." As the crew rushed to their positions, Eric exchanged a look with Olivia. What had begun as a mission of retribution had become something far more important, a fight not just for justice, but for humanity's right to determine its own future among the stars. "All ships evasive pattern Delta," Eric ordered as the first energy blast from the enemy fleet lit up space around them. The Vengeance shuddered as its shields absorbed a direct hit. "Shields at 80%, Commander Hill reported. Their weapons are similar to advanced Silurian design but much more powerful." Eric studied the tactical display. They were outnumbered 5-1, surrounded by ships of unknown capability. "We need to break their formation. Sam, are your fighter squadrons ready?" Sam Turner nodded from his station. The veteran pilot's face showed no fear, only cold determination. "Ready and waiting, Captain." "Launch all fighters, target pattern Omega-6." As the Vengeance's fighter squadrons swarmed out from the launch bays, Eric turned to Olivia. "Is there any way to use what we've learned against them?" Olivia's eyes widened as an idea formed. "Maybe. Sithara told me about the predecessor's manipulation of both humans and Silurians. If we broadcast that information to every ship in the enemy fleet, it could cause confusion in their ranks." "Do it," Eric finished. While Olivia prepared the broadcast, Eric made another decision. "Ben, open a channel to Admiral Powell's emergency frequency." Ben Rogers looked surprised. "Sir, that's supposed to be for extreme emergencies only." "If this doesn't qualify, nothing does," Eric replied grimly. After sending the emergency signal, Eric addressed the crew. "All hands, prepare for close engagement. We're going to punch through their line and make for the central command ship." On the largest enemy vessel, Director Nichols watched the human fleet maneuvers, with a mixture of admiration and pity. "They fight well even when outnumbered," he commented to the tall, gray figure standing beside him. The predecessor made no visible response, its smooth, featureless face revealing nothing. "The test continues," it said finally, its voice like stones grinding together. "If they survive, they may be worthy." Nishals nodded, and the Salorans, have they served their purpose? "They have," the predecessor replied coldly. Aboard the Vengeance, Olivia completed her work. "Broadcast ready, Captain. It includes all the evidence we've gathered about the predecessor's manipulation, along with Sithara's testimony. I've translated it into both human languages and Silurian dialects." "Send it," Eric ordered. The broadcast went out on all frequencies, reaching every ship in both fleets. On the Salurian vessels, confusion spread as crews learned they had been used as pawns in the predecessor's games. Several ships stopped firing, their commanders uncertain who the real enemy was. In the Vengeance's brig, Sithara watched the battle through a small monitor. When the broadcast began, the Salurian's large eyes blinked rapidly. "Perhaps there is hope after all," Sithara murmured. Just as the enemy fleet formation began to falter, space rippled behind them. A new fleet appeared, human.